Abbreviation in the interpretation of the Holy Quran, page 25 of the Quran. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the difference of night and day, and the ark that takes place in the sea for the benefit of the people, and what God brought down from heaven from the water, and revived the earth after its death, and broadcast in it from every dab, and the discharge of the wind, and the clouds harnessed between heaven and earth for the signs of people who are rational. 164. And of the people who take without God equals, who love them as the love of God, and who have believed. I love God even more than those who have been wronged, seeing the torment. See that the power belongs to all of God, and that God is very tormented. 165. As those who followed were disowned by those who followed, and saw the torment, and were stranded for reasons. 166. And those who followed said, if we had a ball we would disown them as they disowned us, as well as God shows them their deeds of sorrow for them, and what they are out of the fire. 167. O people, eat of what is in the earth, a good halal, and do not follow the steps of Satan, because you have a clear enemy. 168. But he commands you to be bad and obscene, and to say to God what you do not know. 169. 164. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, and their wonders of creation, in the succession of night and day, in the ships that run in the waters of the seas, carrying what is beneficial to people in terms of food, clothing, trade, and other things they need, in what God has brought down from heaven, the water with which he has revived the earth with its planting and pasture, in the living beings he has propagated in it, in the transformation of the wind on the one hand, and in the humiliating clouds between heaven and earth. All of this is for clear indications of his almighty oneness, is for those who rationalize arguments, and understand evidence and proofs. 165. With these clear verses, some people who take without God as gods make them counterparts of God Almighty, love them as they love God, and those who believe more in love with God than those for their idols, because they do not share with God anyone, and love him in good and bad, and those who love their gods in the case of good and bad, but in the bad they call only God. If the oppressors saw their polytheism and the commission of evils as they were in the afterlife when they saw the torment, they would know that the one who is unique in all power is God, and that he is very tormented by those who disobey him. If they saw this, they would not have involved anyone with him. 166. When the following superiors disavow the weak who followed them because of the horrors and hardships of the day of judgment they witness, and they are stranded by all the causes and means of survival. 167. The weak and the followers said, may we return to the world and disown our superiors as they have disowned us, and as God has shown them the great torment in the hereafter shows them the consequence of their follow-up to their superiors on falsehood, regrets and sorrows, and they are never out of the fire. 168. O people, eat of the animal, plant and trees in the earth, of what was earned by halal and was good in himself and not malicious, and do not follow the paths of Satan by which he lures you, for you have a clearly hostile enemy, and no sane person may follow his enemy, who is keen to harm and mislead him. 169. He commands you to do worse sins and to magnify sins, and to say unknowingly about God or his apostles. One of the benefits of the verses. True believers in God are the greatest creation, loving God, because they obey him anyway through thick and thin, and do not share with him anyone. On the day of judgment, all ties are broken, and every Khalil is absolved of his successor, leaving only what was pure to God Almighty. Warning against Satan's cunning for the diversity of his methods, their concealment and their proximity to the desires of the soul. 125.